So this call is going to be all about stress mitigation, and I called it Take a Chill. So this is just some scientific and holistic approaches for stress mitigation. So again, if any terms or anything goes over your head, let me know. So let's just go into it really quick on the basics before we go into it. What is stress? It's just a feeling of overwhelm or just unable to cope with mental or external pressure. I obviously made a typo, fuck me. And treated stress can create a lot of toxin buildups in your system, in your CNS, in your immune system, and obviously it can create sickness and disease. So it'll lower your immune system. A lot of people have gotten sick. I've seen a lot of you get sick from just pure stress. So we'll go into the types. So there's acute, there's episodic acute, and there's chronic. Acute stress is just an intense and unpleasant reaction shortly after an overwhelming traumatic experience lasting less than a month. So if it's lasting longer than a month, you might have PTSD, but that's something that you might need to get a diagnosis for. I wouldn't like say, oh, it's just PTSD. So an example would be a car crash, right? Short, episodic, unpleasant. And if it's PTSD, if it follows longer, then you might be avoid driving and become excessively cautious on the road, or be like look slower than a speed limit, right? Another one would be a deadline at work or an upcoming exam presentation where it causes a lot of nervousness, anxiety, stress, and a PTSD symptom of it, if it lasts longer than a month, would be intense anxiety, intrusive thoughts about failing, avoidance of studying and preparing for future exams or presentations, or just avoiding presentations in general, right? I used to be like that, honestly. In college, it kind of sucked. So this is why I'm doing this, because this is me presenting. So getting stuck in traffic is another one. PTSD could be being really irritable, impatient, or just feeling really tense in traffic, getting headaches, sleepy, and then unexpected news. Could be a PTSD symptom, could be shock, denial, difficulty processing news in the future. It could also lead to ongoing anxiety, depression related to that event or similar events. And then arguing with a partner, PTSD symptoms, persistent and negative thoughts about relationships, future relationships, emotional numbness toward their partner, and avoidance of discussing or resolving conflicts in the relationship. So I think acute stress, just drop for me in the chat if anyone has had like similar experiences with an acute stress, or something that has kind of turned into a low-key PTSD symptom in the future, or just now, honestly, if you've ever dealt with it. Kind of curious. Want to see what we're working with here. Last year, car crash, definitely yes. Yeah, car crashes are fucking one of those things, bro. It takes a lot of bravery and courage to get back on the road, and I feel anxious. So perfect. So everyone has felt it. So we're not alone here. Perfect. So let's go into episodic acute. So I try to add memes, as many memes as I can into this presentation, but it stops after some point. So anyway, someone that gets frequent bouts of acute, so you get into a lot of car crashes, you get into a lot of arguments, you have a lot of presentations at work, or things that repeat constantly. So these types of people take more responsibility than they can handle. They try and do a shit ton of things that they know that they aren't able to complete, but they're low-key getting a dopamine hit from the stress, from trying to do as many things and accomplish as many things as possible to prevent themselves from failing, right? So that could be a cycle. And they may seem like they're always in a rush and always running late, and they're kind of disorganized, right? And I know a few of these people. Some of them are in the community, but some of them are friends. So for examples, an overloaded student, right? Someone who signs up for multiple extracurricular activities, volunteers, takes on a heavy course load, and has a frequent bouts of acute stress. They're always forgetting deadlines, they feel rushed, and so on. So busy parents who juggle work, household stuff, children activities, leading to frequent episodes of acute stress, and they may seem like they're always in a hurry, forgetting appointments, feeling overwhelmed for their daily responsibilities. I know a few friends that are moms and a few friends that are dads that go through this. So very, very real. And chronic procrastinators, someone who constantly puts off tasks until the last minute, leading up to frequent episodes of acute stress, right? They feel like putting things off to the last minute and having pressure on them is a good way to, like, for them to stay on task, but in reality it's just a cycle where they're chronically waiting till the last minute to do something, aka check-ins, or aka like market picks, or just things, that tasks that I have you guys do, and they wait till the very last minute. So they may seem rushed and try and complete tasks at the 11th hour, and feeling overwhelmed by the procrastination happens, right? Why am I always like this? Why does always something happen before I need to do this? So there's always a story. and the perpetual overachiever, right? An individual who sets unrealistic goals and expectations for themselves, constantly striving for perfection in all aspects of their life, resulting in frequent bouts of stress. I'm sure someone knows someone like this where they try and do, it's very similar to the overloaded student, but this is more like an adult life where you're trying to do a shit ton of work and you're setting unrealistic, you're shooting for the moon and you feel overwhelmed and you don't accomplish any of it. They may always feel like in a rush, trying to accomplish too much in too little of time, and feel constantly overwhelmed by their self-imposed standards. So do any of these sound familiar? Like raise your hands or just drop it in the chat, whatever if these examples even pertain to you, which one you are. Okay, so chronic stress. This is the big one, right? The silent killer. This is the one that people don't really realize that it just becomes their new norm. And it's just consistent stress of overwhelm and pressure over a long period of time. And the fact that it's a long period of time is why you don't feel it. It becomes your new baseline, your new standard, and you're like, this is just normal life. When in reality, your stress levels are ridiculous and it's causing a lot of problems in your life. So anyway, financial stress, someone who's experiencing ongoing financial difficulties, debt, job loss, instability of chronic loss, leading to chronic stress, sorry. And they may feel worried about money, unable to make ends meet, and stressed about their financial future. I don't know anyone that doesn't go through this, right? You're not alone. Everyone goes through this at some point in their life. And when it comes to this, practicing what Ash preaches about pushing your future scarcity obsession into and challenging those thoughts that you have is super important when it comes to financial stress, and understanding that you'll be safe regardless. So there's a lot of things that I've probably had you guys play that exercise called continuing the thread. And if I haven't, we can talk about it later. So we'll talk about that if we need to, but you're not alone. So workplace stress, high pressure job, demanding deadlines, long hours, difficult boss, chronic stress, right? Same thing. And they feel overwhelmed by their workload. They're anxious about meeting deadlines and trapped in stressful work environments. And then overtraining, right? This is more fitness related. Someone new to exercising and they do too much of it too quickly, which can lead them to feeling tired, sore all the time, and they might not be seeing the results they want, right? This is very prominent to new year, new me people that like to get into the gym first 3 months or first month even. They go balls to the wall at the gym and they undereat or they restrict themselves or they overeat and they're not feeding their body properly, they're not recovering enough, and they try and train 5-6 days a week trying to make a huge change, like the overloaded student over the overachiever in the episodic acute, and it leads to failure, right? Dieting and restriction, like we just talked about, is eating less food to lose weight. This can make them feel hungry and worried about what they're eating all the time. So not controlled restriction and just doing it to do it without structure can lead to a lot of mindset issues in relationships with food issues and just stress around food in general, and thinking about how the food will affect you. There's so many stress factors when you don't have structure around dieting, and people like to go into it thinking like this one meal is going to make me fat or this one meal is going to make me lose weight, and they don't understand like the structure around nutrition, macros, and so on, like I kind of taught you guys. So, and then lack of patience and persistence. So when you start exercising, you might want to see big changes in your body quickly, but it's important to stay patient, keep trying, even if you don't see the changes right away, right? Learn how to be patient, trust the process, and not expecting immediate changes because you're working towards a lifestyle, not a specific goal very quickly. I'm honestly, same. I've been in all the above too. And I'm sure, I mean, overtraining isn't one of them or dieting, but I've been there, and it's one of those things that will definitely, over a long period of time, will be the silent killer. And that's why people need help. Anyone else? Here, we'll move on. So this stress deteriorates the body regardless. So you'll have low energy, headaches, upset stomach, loose bowels, obviously, constipation, nausea, chest pain, rapid heart rate without caffeine. You'll feel anxious all the time. You'll have tense muscles, insomnia, low immune system, which creates constant sickness, which is a huge one that I see among like my family, this community, friends, whoever. You'll have high stress and they'll just be sick on almost like a monthly basis. Low sex drive, which is a shitty one to have, and then that's how you know that's getting really bad. And then basically you're just getting fucked, right? With allowing all these stressors to deteriorate your life. So how it shows up in the body, you have rapid weight gain around the chest, face, abdominal area, high blood pressure, flushed round face because of all the pressure and all the blood, anxiety, depression, irritability, muscle weakness, not recovering, body aches, extremely low or high appetite. One or the other, but being on both ends of the extremes is very, very acute to the stress. And then basically you're getting fucked times two. So does anyone resonate with any of these, or have any of them showed up in your current and past fitness or just life journeys? All of them. Yep, I get that, brother. Yep, anxiety. I've battled with irritability. I've been known to be a short fused person when I've had stress, and I have low appetite. I don't eat at all, and muscle weakness. Like my body just wants to sleep. And yeah, there's a lot of these that I've gone through. It's just understanding what you feel in your body and challenging them. So cortisol, here's the science stuff. So cortisol, I'm sure I mentioned to you guys at one point, it's a hormone in your body. We need it, but we don't need too much of it, right? It has to be very balanced. So cortisol is a queen bee hormone and must be respected. And I haven't had anyone get hormone panels yet, but I am looking into getting a few of you, maybe potentially a few of you getting hormone panels so you can see how cortisol can affect where you're at right now. Responsibilities. So managing stress. Cortisol helps the body handle stress by controlling how it responds to different situations. If you're in a diet and you're in a calorie deficit, or you're training really hard, you're going to have high cortisol. So cortisol just helps the body tell how to control whatever external stimulus that you're giving it, right? So the dieting and the training, the workplace stress, and other stressors, that it basically just responds to whatever the external environment. Makes sense. So, and it also regulates your metabolism, which is something that I don't really talk about often, but it does this in terms of giving you high appetite and low appetite, right? Like we talked about in the last slide. How it uses the body for energy is specific, especially during times of stress, right? So this is why people get high appetite or stress eat, obviously. And controlling the blood sugar levels it plays a role in keeping blood sugar levels stable, which is important for overall health, right? This kind of ties into the regulating the metabolism. And then reducing inflammation. So it helps the body reduce inflammation, which is the body's response to injury or infection. This can come down to your immune system. And this is why it's important to reduce that inflammation before it gets too uncontrollable and you get sick. Supporting memory formation. I actually didn't know this, which is really important. It helps the brain form and store memories, which is important for learning and remembering things. So if you're constantly forgetting things because of high stress, there you go. And I don't know if the number or the science behind it, but it just helps your brain. So, and it makes sense. So regulating sleep, this goes back to insomnia, which is one of those symptoms. It can affect sleep patterns, helping you feel awake in the morning and sleepy at night. Obviously, when it's in balance and your circadian rhythm is in balance as well, it will help. Cortisol will help you, not prevent you from falling asleep, if that makes sense. And then supporting fetal development. This is for the females, the women who get pregnant. Cortisol helps the fetus develop properly, which is something I also didn't know. So fun stuff. And then let's talk about the regulating the metabolism, because that one's kind of important for the fitness side of things and health. High stress and high or low levels of appetite, right? So when you have high stress, it can make you crave unhealthy, high-calorie foods, causing you to eat more than you need. Cortisol also affects insulin, which is another hormone that I don't often talk about, but I will here. It's a hormone that regulates blood sugar, basically. You get it when you eat carbs mostly, or high sugar foods. You even get it from even eating low sugar foods, but mostly carbs, because there's always an insulin response. And insulin is also, you need it because it helps you build muscle. And high cortisol can make your body less responsive to insulin, leading to high blood sugar levels and more fat storage. So I don't know if you guys ever heard where people get insulin resistance and they just hold on to fat storage, right? Or they have high blood sugar because they're insulin resistant, because they're eating too many carbs and their body is basically spiking insulin to its max. It cannot go any higher, and it's not regulating insulin accordingly. So this is what happens when people just eat junk food, processed food, and so on. So storing fat. Cortisol can tell your body to store fat, right? Cortisol is so for example, I'll go into that. Tells your body to store fat, especially around your organs in the belly area. It does this by increasing the activity of the enzyme that helps store fat in the fat cells, right? So we can relate this to what Ash has said in the past. When you have high stress, your body literally thinks you're running away from a bear, right? It's primal. And when you have high cortisol, high stress all the time, you have your body in a constant fight or flight mode all the time. And when you're in that, all you're thinking about is running away from the fucking bear. You're not trying to think about eating. You're not thinking about sleeping or recovering or any of that. You're just in a high stress environment. Adrenals are high, cortisol is high, everything is high. So appetite goes down, and it tells your body to store the fat, because fat is what? Energy. And when your body stores energy, it keeps you safe. If you didn't have any body fat, you would literally die, right? If you were in a starvation mode because you're running away from a bear. So that's why high cortisol, when you raise the baseline and you think, why am I holding on to so much fat? It's because your body thinks you're running away from a bear and it needs to go into starvation mode very soon. But it doesn't know that you're eating, and the regulation of metabolism and insulin can get fucked. So that's a quick little breakdown. And breaking down muscles. So in times of stress, cortisol can break down muscle tissue for energy. So it'll break down muscle, because muscle is, again, energy, just as fat is energy. Everything is energy. We are just literally frequencies of energy. And this can lead to less muscle and slower metabolism, making it easier to gain fat. So for example, when appetite is up and activity decreases, you have less NEAT, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. It is a part of your daily calorie expenditure, and I'll show you that chart later if we need to. But it's basically like fidgeting and going up, getting to the bathroom, doing laundry, random shit that isn't intentional exercise. And this causes a tendency to eat calories without the equal expenditure, which is unexplainable fat gain, right? When you're stressed, you don't want to do much, and you just kind of sit and be a couch potato, kind of think about your problems and go into that cycle. So let's say, for example, someone says, I want to go into an intuitive eating for a few months. Appetite is higher than it needs to be because you're stress eating about life situations or whatever situations. And if you usually burn 2,000 calories per day, but your cortisol is high, therefore your appetite is high, and then you're eating in 3,000 calories a day and you're eating intuitively, then you're actually in 1,000 calorie surplus, right? And then people want to like diet and try and lose the weight, but it doesn't work out like that, right? Because again, your body is telling, high cortisol tells your body to store the fat. Oops, I'm trying to highlight and it doesn't work. High cortisol tells your body to store the fat, and you need to modulate and regulate the cortisol through the holistic factors or the holistic practices we'll talk about before you try and just diet, right? Just dieting does not work like that, because people will crash diet and they'll be like, I'm still not losing fat. So it doesn't work out for them because they add more stress on top of the stress eating, right? So you're stress eating, and then you add more stress because you're stress eating, and then it's just this endless vicious cycle. And how do we break it? Well, I'm glad you asked, Barbara. Barbara is just this unknown person, none of you, obviously. So fuck the cycle. So this is how we break the cycle. So awareness and mindfulness, right? We talk about this with Ash all the time. Recognize the importance of stress eating and how it affects your body, right? A lot of people need to be aware when they're stress eating and how they're stress eating or how often they're doing it. So, and then practicing mindfulness to become more aware of your emotions and how they affect your eating habits, right? I want you guys to not eat with your emotions. I want you guys to eat with logic and for your goals, and eat according to how you know it's going to make you feel afterwards. And that's a big trick that I learned when like, how is this meal going to make me feel afterwards? If I eat it right now and I slam it and I inhale it, will I feel like shit? Or will I feel great and be able to like have normal energy, right? And if the answer is the first, then I usually don't eat it, obviously, but balance matters as well, right? And keeping yourself intuitively full instead of slamming food just to eat it. So healthy coping mechanisms. Instead of turning to food for comfort, find healthier ways to cope with stress. It sounds easier, but wait. Exercise, meditation, talking to a friend, journaling, listening to loud music, dancing, getting fucking sunlight, like I tell everyone, for your circadian rhythm, walking, socializing with boundaries, not partying hard or just to numb the stress, right? Like socializing with boundaries, and enjoying your cravings with portion control, like I tell all of you, and still fitting it into your macros, right? I forgot to put voice memoing in here, because David and a few other people have been practicing voice memoing, as their journal, and it's helping them talk through their stress, through their coping, or just like their overall stress, and helping them talk themselves through situations where instead of keep staying in your head, you'll speak it into existence, and you'll be able to deal with it better and understand how unserious it can be and how easy it is to work through those things once you get out of your head. So that's another coping mechanism. I personally use it as well. One of my favorites. And then obviously having a balanced diet, focusing on eating balanced foods with plenty of fruits, veggies, lean proteins, whole grains. Very simple. And then this can help you regulate your appetite and prevent overeating, especially with protein. Regular physical activity. Stay active to boost your mood and energy levels. Aim for at least 30 minutes of moderate exercise most days of the week. Stress management techniques. So practice stress reducing techniques, yoga, deep breathing, mindfulness, meditation to lower cortisol levels and reduce stress eating. You can also do breath work. Breath work is a very great way to incorporate stress management techniques. So breath work is one of my favorite stress management techniques to use when I'm feeling high stress. I go outside, get some sunlight, go to YouTube. I have a channel that I can send you guys that I listen to very often, and I do some breath work, right? 15 minutes every other day or so is a pretty good routine for me that helps me regulate, because the breath regulates the nervous system. Ash has talked about this too. And if your nervous system is on the edge all the time, your body's going to think fight or flight mode, high cortisol, hold on to body fat, low appetite, all the things, right? It's a huge domino effect. So when you start at the source, which is something that you can control, because you can, like Artie wants to say that we want to control our brain, but we can't control our brain to tell on to activate certain hormones, but we can control our breath. We can control the way we respond to certain situations, and doing so is going to help you manage stress better than trying to say, I wish this stress would just go away. Let me just fucking turn off or turn down cortisol. It doesn't work like that. I wish it did, but you know. And seek community. That's why we have everyone. So obviously this is why I have the chat. Like you've all been through similar situations. So whenever you feel like you're going through something and you feel like you're alone in it in terms of stress, you're not. And that's the biggest thing that I see people do is they isolate themselves when it comes to stress. And chances are someone else has gone through what you're going through and is able to resonate and give you tips. High stress can make you feel this only happens to me. Then you isolate, and then you feel shame and guilt, and then you don't seek help, right? And I tell all of you, like, reach out to me, reach out to someone in the chat, or ask the chat entirely, hey, have you guys gone through this? What can I do? And in those situations, you can at everyone if you really want to. I usually do it, but I'll allow for like when you have a very prominent question, like, what do you guys do for this type of thing? So seek community and friends that can help resonate and help guide you through it. That's what community is all about. I want to share knowledge and like help you understand that we all share similar experiences in our own unique way. And this is why y'all have me and Ash. And then we're not therapists, but we apply the shit that we talk about, right? Like I only tell you guys to do things that I've personally done. I'm not going to tell you guys to do things that I've never done in the past ever, because that's critical, and I will not like that. So adrenals are taxed. Adrenals are basically a gland in an organ, right? They produce hormones. Adrenaline literally comes from the adrenals. So adrenal glands they produce cortisol as well. And if your adrenals are overstimulated, meaning they're fucking pumping out hormones and they're maxed out on cortisol, adrenaline, insulin, you're going to have adrenal fatigue. And what that looks like is you're going to have body aches, unexplained weight loss or gain, low blood pressure, lightheadedness, loss of body, skin discoloration, digestive issues, mood swings, and cravings or lack of. So very similar to the symptoms that I mentioned in the beginning, but your adrenals are the source of where all these hormones are produced. And if they're overstimulated constantly, then you're just going to tax them out, right? And there's external stimulus that you can give your adrenals, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So how do we fix it? Circadian rhythm will do the most, right? I like to focus. This is why I capitalize sun. When you get fucking sun, it tells your body to be in rhythm when the sun rises and when the sun sets. So you can go to sleep on time, so you don't have insomnia, so you can have a proper bedtime. So that's why I focus so much on my morning walks, because otherwise if I don't get sun or I'm not supplementing with vitamin D3, my sleep is going to be shit. My routine is going to be shit. And therefore, everything else is going to turn to shit because it's a domino effect, right? So start at the very beginning. Your circadian rhythm will do the most. Morning sunlight, at least like 5 to 10 minutes is all you need, really. And we're just going on your morning walk. I do them really early. Most of you are deficient in vitamin D3. So D3 will do a lot. If you don't already supplement with vitamin D3, we're going to talk about supplements. But if you don't already supplement, it's a great to have in your daily routine in case you don't have a lot of vitamin. But we're going to enter spring soon, and you should get some. So pull stimulants. So stimulants being caffeine. If you have caffeine right after you're waking, that's a fucking huge no. Like, so I can talk to you about like the science about it, but basically you have natural cortisol, and it naturally spikes in the morning. And if you spike it even more than it naturally is with caffeine, then you're telling your body to get off its circadian rhythm. And Dr. Huberman talks about this a lot. A lot of you don't know Dr. Huberman, but I'll probably put a video up in the chat later talking about how caffeine, waiting 90 minutes, 60 to 90 minutes after waking for caffeine is going to help you the most. And that's why I go on my walks, to get my body moving instead of just going straight to the coffee. Cortisol is naturally high after waking, so use that to your advantage. And caffeine increases cortisol in excess or with bad timing. Let natural cortisol and adenosine, which is another hormone that you need in the morning, to balance out after waking, which is ideally 90 minutes plus. Reduce your training. This comes back to overtraining, right? If you're overtraining and you're putting too much into the gym, it can be a bad thing. Too much of a good thing can fuck you up. Training is a controlled stressor on the body. You're literally ripping your muscles apart, your muscle fibers. So if you're not controlling your training, then you're going to run into a fatigue wall. Quality food. Stop eating processed sugars, right? Obviously, with portion control, have a balanced diet. I eat them. I'm not going to fucking sit here and tell you that don't eat processed sugars. Like, I have them, but in portion control. But again, it comes back to what I told you guys in the past. Like, I have 5 to 6 meals a day. And if only one of those meals or two of those meals or like a snack is a processed sugar meal, then the percentage of that is much lower compared to if you only have 2 or 3 meals a day, that percentage becomes higher. So it's simple math, and kind of modulating your portion control is very important when it comes to that. So, and if you haven't incorporated fruits, veggies, whole grains, and whole source carbs into your diet, grow up. Like, we need to start eating the fruits, the veggies, the whole grains, the carbs that come from the earth. Prioritize those before you go to the processed sugars, I promise. A good tip, I guess, that another coach told me was that if you put gum next to the snack that you go to often that's a high processed sugar, and you chew the gum before you have the snack, and if you're still hungry after you chew the gum, then you weren't really hungry. Or if you chug water, same thing. Like, it's more often than not a craving that you can suppress with having water, having fruits, having veggies, having whole source carbs that have a good amount of fiber. And fiber is going to keep you full the most, right? Which comes with fruits and veggies. And then vitamin C, this is a supplement protocol that I'd use with someone, a few other people too. Vitamin C plus bioflavonoids in a mix of 2-to-1 ratio. So what you're going to do, I won't prescribe this to anyone. Don't go fucking doing this. I will tell you if you need this. But what will happen is you'll have 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C and 500 milligrams of a bioflavonoid. There's a supplement you can take. It's very easy. And you increase it on the hour, every hour. And vitamin C plus the 500 of the bioflavonoid, you can go as high as 19K with the vitamin C if you need to. And what's going to happen is you want your stool to be runny. Like, you're going to run it for 3 to 4 weeks to get your hormones back in balance, and get a hormone panel if you're going super high in vitamin C. Otherwise, start at 1 to 2K, right? So again, there's an Amazon link. I'll send you guys this later, or I'll send you the this slide later, the whole presentation, so you guys have it and save it somewhere in case you guys forget, because stress causes forgetfulness, remember? How do we fix that? So anti-inflammatory diet, right? The FOD diet. I've told you guys to pull back from gluten, from dairy. Those are the biggest inflammatories that will prevent you from, or not prevent you, but cause more stress. And yeah, so more fruits, more veggies, nuts, healthy fats, eggs, avocado, beef, etc. Not the processed fats like bacon, trans fats, things that come with dense oils. So I would tell you, like, lots of pork, not so good. And then supplements that I like to use, honestly, the one that I use is ashwagandha. I love ashwagandha. It helps me a lot. I've noticed the difference. But these other ones, and I also use rhodiola. So this is the supplement stack for stress and just inflammation overall. So ashwagandha, 450 milligrams of Bacopa extract, and 500 milligrams of lion's mane, which is a neurotropic, and then it helps you with memory and focus. And then 500 milligrams of rhodiola, which helps you with recovery. And I take, right now, as of now, I take the rhodiola and the ashwagandha. I don't take these, but there's a Amazon link that has most of all of these, and I'll send that. You guys will have this again later, so you guys can go into it. And obviously you can have this. It's not like the vitamin C bioflavonoid protocol. That's more of like a that will fuck up your digestion if you go overload, right? This is more for stress. You can take this if you truly desire. So it's like a holistic supplement. So if cortisol is still high after all that shit, training needs to be pulled all the way fucking back. Like 1 to 2 days of light training, super load, go on a walk, go with half your loads and pull back. Because obviously you're putting your body through a lot of fucking stress. Stimulants need to be pulled back 0 to 50 milligrams of caffeine max, right? Some of you have like 400 plus, and that'll fuck you up. Binaural beats. This is more the meditation, breath work kind of stuff that I like to listen to. For meditation, the 4 to 5 hertz range is a really good range for theta. And Ash has talked about the theta frequency being in the frequency where your brain is open to suggestion. And that's where breathwork and meditation and visualizations come into play. So if you're highly stressed, then this will definitely help you implement that. So 4 to 5 hertz is also linked to better REM sleep, decreasing anxiety, and relaxation. I play this every night. I have my Alexa right next to my bed. I put on the Spotify channel that I listen to often, and I go to theta music, and I play it all night. Pro tip for you guys. And 8 to 13 hertz is for more positivity and decreasing anxiety. So I'm a very like high frequency person in terms of listening to the music. So I'll listen to certain frequencies to kind of help me with certain situations. So if that helps you, rather than having guided meditation also helps too. Humans are nothing but energy and frequency. Like I said earlier, we are just trying to manage all this energy and the high external stimulus that is coming into us, and we are responding. Our body is reacting to certain stimulus. So if you don't mitigate your stress mitigation works best when you bring spiritual and holistic approaches to the table, right? I don't just tell you guys to take the supplements. I add them in there. Don't let it be the end all be all for your stress, because you don't always have supplements on hand, right? But you can do breath work. You can do a quick little 5-minute meditation if you feel like in a high stress environment, or you can go for a quick walk. Those are things that you can control and do on a daily basis, rather than relying on a supplement or relying on a certain activity or relying on someone to relieve your stress. Like, oh, then my stress relief is gone. What do I do? And then that causes more stress. So do something that you can control, you can do on a daily basis, and doesn't take you a shit ton of time, right? Obviously, stress mitigation is like a muscle, like training. You do it consistently, you'll get the most benefit from it. So breathwork, meditation, mindfulness, awareness, like we've talked about. Lifestyle changes. Sleep, guys. Get your fucking sleep. Like, less sleep, high cortisol. It's very simple. Like, it's how your body works. If you don't sleep, your body's just going to tell you fight or flight mode. High cortisol, hold on to body fat. And I guarantee you, if you sleep 7 to 9 hours a night, you'll see the changes in your body almost overnight. And I've seen it overnight. Like the days that I get 6 hours, 5 hours, and I've gotten them because of work, then I will hold on to water, hold on to not body fat, but I'll hold on to a lot of water because my body needs it. And when I get 9 hours or 8 hours, my body will just let it go. It'll de-inflammate. I don't know if that's a word, but let go of inflammation. Remove yourself from toxic or stressful environments, right? I've talked to some of you about your workplace environment, and a lot of you have made changes in your workplace environment because it doesn't serve you. And I love that for you. Like, you've made changes in your workplace and in your job and removed yourself from coworkers, from environments that don't serve you because they were stressful, because they were causing you to be a version of you that wasn't in alignment with what your goals were. So I've done it. That's why I quit my engineering job. That's why I'm doing this, because this is in alignment, and this causes me way less stress than trying to focus on what I was doing. And if that resonates with you, focus on that, because I like to tell everyone, like, jobs are abundant. There's a job out there for you if you want to stay in a job or work for yourself even, but there's a job out there for you that will serve you, that will allow you to be in your energy and like allow you to show your skills, basically, because a lot of jobs kind of just do the work and you don't really practice your skills that help you stay in the job with alignment. So this also comes to toxic relationships, friendships, and so on. Remove social. Doom scrolling will fuck you. I promise. It's not the best. I've done it. I am practicing right now a 1 hour with no scrolling in the morning right after waking. So I listen to my audiobook, I go on a walk, I fuck off, I go to the gym, and then I don't touch social until like for 3 hours after waking. So which is something that I'm practicing more of. So if that resonates with you, doing social right after waking can cause a lot of stress. More sunlight, like I told you guys, that's probably the biggest hitter, the circadian rhythm, and getting movement outside. If you get anything out of this, honestly, get some fucking sunlight and get your steps. Like, people really underestimate the power of getting 10,000 steps with no phone and getting direct sunlight. Like, we're meant to be in the sun. We're not meant to be inside all the fucking time. And when you get sunlight, you'll be able to feel better. You'll be able to get your circadian on track, less stress. And with no phone, you'll be able to just allow your thoughts to come through and allow them to be, observe them, and continue on with your life, or even talk yourself through situations, voice memoing, right? But walking and scrolling on your phone and getting light from your phone versus the sun, you're fucking yourself over. So nose breathing over mouth breathing. Now, I've told a couple of you, nose breathing is for your lungs, mouth breathing is for your gut. And mouth breathing is important when you're, from a fitness perspective, when you're trying to brace your core for squats or deads or any compound movement. Super important, obviously. But when it comes to stress, nose breathing and getting all the air into your diaphragm, into your lungs, is super important for your CNS, for your central nervous system, and your diaphragm, right? That's how you're going to get air into your system and allow the stress to mitigate. And write down what drains. This is something that I like to do every now and then, probably once a month or so, when I have changes of goals. Write down what drains your energy and fills your energy, right? I have a list of 8 things on both sides: drain and fill, and what makes you feel aligned. And then from those five things, when you feel out of alignment or you're feeling highly stressed, go back to that fucking list, see what you're doing on either side. And if you're doing too much of what is in and not in alignment and what drains your energy, then you know what's obviously wrong. It's a very simple, very easy exercise that I like to do every now and then, once a month. Kind of helps me re-regulate on a monthly basis. So supplements. These are the supplements overview that I talked about. We talked about the vitamin C, the bioflavonoids, and the ashwagandha with the bacopa extract, lion's mane, and rhodiola. Fish oil, which is a supplement that you can obviously take daily basis. It's a great one. People underestimate fish oil a lot. I take it on a daily basis. So what you want to look for is a 2 to 2.5 EPA to DHA combined per day for supplements. Helps with gut health as well. And pre and probiotics for your gut health, lower inflammation, lower stress. So I would not, personally, in terms of supplements, I would not fuck with the probiotic or the prebiotic supplement. I would get it from food and fiber. Probiotics are yogurts. Prebiotics are like kefirs and usually cruciferous vegetables. So, or even obviously just having hella fruit and hella veggies in your diet is going to help you lower inflammation significantly. Greek yogurt is one of my favorites, though. I have it every morning. Maca powder, it's great for energy, great for focus. It's kind of like it has a bit of caffeine. It has probably like 50 milligrams or something. It's kind of on the same level as matcha. More water, obviously drink hella water. Regulate, you need that water. And then dark chocolate is a flavonoid. It buffers stress activities in the adrenals. So dark chocolate, not like your fucking Hershey's, like the actual dark chocolate, like the 95% or more cacao chocolate, the stuff that tastes like cardboard almost. I like it every now and then, but it has to be paired with like a fruit or like, in a charcuterie board or something like that. So the holistic overview, the stuff that we talked about, the heavy hitters, the being, right? Meditation, breath work with binaural beats, journaling with voice memoing, writing, however you want. I like typing as well. Typing and voice memoing are my thing. If you want to journal, go for it and write. Doing an activity that brings you focus and awareness of the present. For me, that's drawing. I can draw and feel focused and just like be really present, right? Walking my dog, listening to an audiobook while walking, really present. Listening to music, and lifting heavy, obviously. Really in the moment, I'm focusing on what I'm doing, and I'm not letting external factors come into my head and cause me more stress while I'm doing them. So the doing, sunlight. I repeated it 3 times. If you haven't gotten your sunlight, get your fucking sunlight. Reset your circadian rhythm. Walking 8 to 10K steps, removing yourself from stressful environments, get some motherfucking sleep. And then fitness related, less training and more control of the weight. So again, pull back your training. Well, if we need to, I will tell you if you need that. To 1, even max 3 days, but 1 to 2 days is a good place to start, and then control the weight better. And then RPE 5 to 6 or RIR 5 to 6 is the same shit for 2 to 4 weeks, and we go from there. And then nutrition, whole food, less caffeine, portion control, very easy. And awareness of your self-sabotaging habits. If you're stress eating, that's a self-sabotaging habit. So bringing awareness to that and like telling yourself, I need sweet potato instead of this fucking high processed sugar food, or I need some fruits and honey instead of this high processed sugar food that's going to cause me. I don't know if any of you saw my story yesterday, but I had like sour candy yesterday, and I know if I eat sour candy or any sort of candy in general alone, just pure carbs, I will get a high spike in insulin, the sugar, and I'll come crashing down very fast, and I'll feel tired, and I'll want to lay on the couch and not get up. So I had a taco. I had a chicken taco right before, and it helped a shit ton just to regulating and buffering that insulin response. So, and that's a awareness of self-sabotaging habits. Even though I don't have them often, when they come up, I'm like, I'll have this before, you know? So yeah, that's it, guys. That's the end. I didn't put an ending screen. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, come off mute. Honestly, I'd love to have a conversation to see if we have any questions. We'll open it up for Q&A, kind of the same way that we do with Ash. And let me know what you got out of it. And yeah, do you know if sunglasses affect how we absorb sunlight? They do to an extent, Jazz, but you need to have them like completely, actually. Dr. Huberman has said it, like if you're getting sunlight from even the window, it doesn't work because it refracts sunlight. You want to get it in direct sunlight. Peripheral direct sunlight to your eyes is going to be the best way. Obviously, just kind of like not facing the sun, obviously. But yeah, sunglasses will affect the sunlight for sure.
Got it. Thank you.
Are you getting sunlight in the morning?
Probably not as much. No, I'm going to say not as much as I could be or should be, because I'm usually like up in the morning doing stuff inside. I have my client that I train Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then I do my workout. So then the only sunlight I get is when I step out of the gym, and then I'm in my car, and then I'm inside again. I'm at home.
I get that. When you leave the gym and you go home, because that's what I usually do. Now that the sun comes up later in the morning, I have to make it intentional. When I get home from the gym, it's still fucking dark. So I'll go inside, have a quick like little post-workout snack, and then I'll go immediately outside.
You'll go back and walk.
Yeah,
I gotta find a way to do that. Just because I do notice a little bit of a difference. So okay, good to know.
Yeah. Anything else kind of like resonate with you other than the sunlight?
I mean, aside from all the revelations and things, like it's funny, my boyfriend was listening to your presentation. I just got out of I just woke up, so I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna listen to this in bed. And he asked me, he's like, are you stressed? And I was like, not as much as I used to be.
Yeah.
Like I stress myself out more than anything because you know me, I put things on myself, and a part of it is like, well, I have all this time, I have to be purposeful with it, which is like true, but I put a lot of other things that I don't want to keep putting on the back burner. Just because it's like I have my to-dos, I'm over here playing like wifey at home, but I'm also trying to build myself up as a person, which I can do both. I'm just not divvying up my duties as good as I could be. And when I say duties, I'm not just talking about like my household chores or whatever, the things that also make me feel good. So like my non-negotiable is always, I'm going to make it in the gym. And I almost didn't make it yesterday to make up my Friday workout. And I ended up doing it, and I did my eating was not horrible, but I ate out all day. I didn't eat anything at home. It's quick to see how things add up, and like just comparing like, oh my gosh, if I would have had at least one meal at home, or if I would have been, I don't know, if I just would have had more planning, which yesterday everything just happened all at once, then maybe I could have stayed in my macros, but I didn't, and it's okay. I don't have days like that often. So that's where I'm giving myself some grace, but I'm also like, look, this is what happens. These are the consequences. And do I want to continue to do that? Or do I want to just make sure that I give myself enough time next time? So that's where I'm at. So I take it as a win.
I'm glad. No, I love that perspective. And that's what I was going to tell you. Like, as long as you're not compounding that habit over the long period of time, then you're good. Because that's where people fall like, oh, I'll just be good next week. And then they do it again next week. And then they do it again the week after. And it compounds like that. That's literally conscious self-sabotage. Like, you know that what you're doing is going to fuck you up, but you choose to do it anyway. I used to be the same way with drinking. Right? Like, oh, I'll be fine. And then I'll go to a brewery and slam like 4 or 5 beers, or the food at the brewery too. And I saw the change. Cortisol. Honestly, I should have put alcohol in here. What the fuck? That was a big one. But modulating that is super important too. Alcohol, because it is literally a depressant. Right?
Honestly, it is. Going from not drinking, and then now I'm enjoying a drink here and there because I want it. Not for any other. A part of me is like, oh, let's see if I can get drunk, but I can only have like 1 or 2 and I'm ready for bed.
Yeah.
I can't even get drunk.
Babe, I haven't drinking like a month or 2 now. It's been since I've gotten here, basically. I haven't drank, so happy about that. But yeah, I'll put that in next time. We're kind of talk about it. But
yeah, that would be pretty good. But yeah, I stress myself out.
I'm glad.
What I think I should be doing and what I need to be doing, which goes back to what do I really want? What is my focus at this time? And so I've started to have those questions floating around that I need to kind of make a list or, see what's really important to myself and like actually see it and not just, tell myself in my head because I'm in this little bit of a fog. Like, obviously I'm doing the things and like I'm really focused, but I'm also in the process of trying to conceive. So it's like, okay, what kinds of things, how am I trying to set up that kind of life that meshes what I want to do for me and what I need to do to make that happen in the gym.
It makes sense.
So yeah, I'm in a very interesting season.
I would definitely ask Ash about that because I can't give you advice on that. But in terms of stress, obviously, going back to that slide, it affects how the fetus is developed in one of these slides. But it affects it for sure, like high stress and any stimulants in general.
Yeah, that's why I try to only have my pre-workout, nothing else. Or if I have something else, I try not to have pre-workout. So I really try to limit my caffeine intake at the very like max to 200 milligrams, but I'm usually like at 100 or 150.
Okay. I mean, pump pre-workouts help a lot too. Just nitric oxide pump only pre-workouts, ones that don't have caffeine at all, work really well. My favorites when I like to have a caffeine break, or just half scooping my pre-workout on days that I know I don't really need to train that hard.
Yeah, well, right now you and I both know I'm in a
I know. It's fun.
Yeah. But in the future, I try not to.
Well, I'm glad you resonated with a lot of the stuff. Yeah, I'll send you I'll send everyone this recording. It should be, I'll send the recording for slides. I'll send them in the chat. Everyone can save it for a link. You can Amazon link the supplements if you want. But yeah, anyone else have any other questions about anything we talked about? Okay, well, I'll let you have the rest of your Sunday, guys. Thanks for coming. I appreciate you. Again, we're going to do this on a bi-weekly basis. The more patterns that I see everyone kind of struggling with in the community, I'll make slides for them. That way it gives you more value instead of just talking about a random ass topic. So yeah, some of them will be shorter, some of them will be longer, but we'll figure it out. So bi-weekly basis, and you should see those invites in your emails. So thank you for being here. I appreciate all of you, and I will let you have the rest of your Sunday. Have a great day, guys. Bye.